Hello everyone, welcome to First Existentialist Congregation. Come on in and find yourselves a seat. Everyone's welcome, by the way. There's coffee and decaf and your choices back in the kitchen there. Bathroom's just outside of those doors and to the left. You can feel free to move about as you are here. I'm going to ring the chimes to get us started. All right, this brings us to our first congregational song, and Bill or Craig is going to tell us the song and the page number.
Yes. Number 68 in the older songbook, not old.
In the pink book.
And it's, yes, the pink one. The Hammer Song.
Oh, yeah. The Hammer Song. So on 68, page 68, the Hammer Song. And feel free, as you are willing and able, and want to stand and sing along.
Bill and I played over last night at the Lake Claire Community Land Trust dance, and Ed Whitkin was going to join us. He played with us last night. He's not joining us today, but we planned to do a Pete Seeger song, and this is the one we're going to do. Ed actually knew Pete Seeger very well. They did all kinds of things, including Ed has a solar design business, and they put solar, collectors on Pete Seeger's house some years ago.
And on the boat.
Yeah. And on the boat. And then Ed used to run a solar-powered stage at the Clearwater Festival on the Hudson River. So, at any rate, Ed's not here, but his spirit is here. He's such a great guy. We played with him last night. It's beautiful. So here we go.
How many verses?
What's that?
How many verses?
How many verses? Well, I only see 3 of them, so yeah. So, everything on page 60.
Four.
Four.
Does it go on to the next page?
There's 2 at the bottom.
Oh, we'll do the first verse again.
All 80 verses today.
Is that what you're saying?
No, there's 2 verses at the bottom.
You'll recognize the words.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Well, all right. I know, everyone who was here last night knows how rude it is to have Abe Partridge here as our speaker and to sing a few songs for us today, but also to have Craig and Bill here tapping out the tunes of the congregational songs. Always so great to see them together. Oh.
We've been doing this for 40 years now. And the band we played last night we've managed to keep it together for 40 years, every once in a while. We rocked out, let me tell you.
I don't think I was going to say that.
Gabe can attest.
Just kidding. Hey, well, welcome to First Existentialist. Thanks for joining us today on kind of cold and hazy day. Come on in and share a little warmth with us. We are a spiritual community philosophically based on existentialist and feminist principles dedicated to human liberation. We make our spiritual home at the Old Stone Church, which was hand-built by African-American Antioch East Baptist Church. We acknowledge that racial hostility drove those African-Americans from the area, and we honor them and the powerful history of this place. We also acknowledge that in the 1800s, the Muskogee Creek people were driven from this land, and we support justice for all indigenous people.
Amen.
Well, in honor of having a fabulous singer-songwriter here, I was going to focus on one of my favorite wordsmiths for an opening quote, Tom Robbins, but once you go there, God, there's so many to choose from. What are you going to do? But I don't know this one. A bat broke loose from the belfry. A loaf broke loose from an oven. 6 chimes broke loose from a clock. You know, some people, they don't even have to know what the words mean, and the words just sound so good. So at this point, I'd like to welcome all newcomers, or if you haven't been here for a little while, please feel free to stand up, let us know who you are and possibly how you heard about us. Anybody, any newcomers out there? Ooh, look at that, Rub?
Rub Denham, and I know a lot of folks here. Oh, can we get the microphone? Oh, you can't hear me? It's coming, it's coming. And, Rub Denham, and I know several people here that are regular members of the Existentialist Church. And I'm here with my sister, Suzanne, and we're here because of Abe. And I got to hear Abe at 30A and got to be in the presence last night, and Abe rocks, that's all I can say. And I love the Existentialist Church. You've offered so many wonderful opportunities for love happening, music, spiritual stuff. I love it all. Thank you.
I'm Rose, and I live close to the neighborhood. I've always been interested in the existential church and wondered what goes on in here. You know? But I'd also like to thank Ted Pettis and Abe Partridge for inviting me here tonight.
Just remember what happens at the first D stays at the first.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Karen Heim, and I am actually the bookkeeper for the Lake Claire Community Land Trust. And Sunshine said, because I have to collect money, whatever, Sunshine said he slayed last night, so they were very happy with the outcome. And on behalf of the Land Trust, I thank you for supporting them. And also, I am involved with Inman Park, and I organize the parade and music, and Ted's played for us. And you know, I've been here a few times. It's been a while, but I know I came because of Abe, and I'm very interested, and I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much. So, providing.
All right, if that's everyone then, we take a moment in our service to recognize birthdays, anniversaries, special occasions, and this is your chance to actually be sung to by a choir of angels. Oh, looks like Bill, come on down.
Nobody else, Bill?
So this is Bill and Carol North, so we'll begin, I guess, with Carol first.
Ginger Violette, birthday and anniversary.
Birthday and anniversary. Let's start with Ginger then. This is happy birthday and anniversary. I'm not sure how to do that. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
The Ginger here with.
that's anniversary still, and Edie, that's an anniversary.
Oh, that's the anniversary too. So we'll do happy anniversary for Ginger.
Okay.
Happy birthday for Ginger. So then we'll do anniversary, then we'll do birthday. How about that?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ginger. Happy birthday to you. And then anniversary, right? Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you.
"15 years ago on Valentine's Day."
Hi. I was going to tell everybody, this is my 83rd birthday. You started singing to me back in 1980, so this will be the 43rd time. Oh, also, I made a pound cake and I brought it. So when you leave, either take some and eat it, or there's baggies, you can put it in and take it home.
All right. Happy anniversary. Oh, sorry. It's just so confusing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carol. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, y'all. Happy anniversary. Hey, since we just loosened up our vocal cords, that brings us to our next congregational song, as to be announced by Craig and Bill over here.
In the new white songbook,
Three-ring bond.
alphabetical order, if you don't realize it, it's, we're going to do I Shall Be Released, Bob Dylan.
So it's in the white book, it's in alphabetical order. Just didn't make it back into the proper binder. So if you look under B and look for Joni Mitchell's Both Sides Now, if that's missing, let me know. I got it right here. I'd like to get it back into the proper book. So look under B, right about it, B-O. Look for the BO. Both sides now. And one thing, I sincerely apologize to this, but I wanted to say our mask policy, we encourage masks, but it's not required, so we strongly encourage it if you feel comfortable doing that. All right. So at this point, I want to ask you if you have any community announcements, anything we need to know about going on in the community, you can write it on a piece of paper and bring it on up to me, and I'll read it out at the end of the, I almost said at the end of class, as the teachers say. Class? So I'll read out community announcements at the end. Feel free to send them on up my way here. Also, if we have any youth, looks like I see some youth out there. If we have any youth in the, like youngins in the audience, at this point we have youth care downstairs. They might want to take a break from the grown-up talk here. No? Okay. And let's see, Marcia's not here today. We normally have a moment for Marcia, our minister, to share a few words with us. She's up at the mountain this weekend, so I'm going to pass with that. And this brings us to a moment that is a favorite for a lot of folks here. We're going to take 5 minutes for silent meditation, and or as you please. And so I'm going to set a timer, and at the end of about 5 minutes, I'll ring the chimes to bring us back in here. And I'll see you then.
Singing your song amidst the less a destination and it's more of a spa. You'll find in your midnight burning so deeply. Yes, it's simple really. Yes, it's simple really.
I just got a new favorite song. Oh, wow, that was fabulous. So this brings us to the spoken word portion of our service today, and I get to introduce Abe, although, God, I don't know if I want to after that song. That just does a better intro than anything I can say. But the context, Abe has taken a long journey to be where he is. Can I just give your history, Abe?
Sure.
Yeah, so Abe grew up in Alabama and went to a couple of Bible colleges and ended up being a pastor and a minister in Mobile, Kentucky, I believe? Middlesboro, Kentucky, where Roe back there is from.
Yeah.
Let's hear it from Middlesboro. Yeah. And somewhere along the line through music, he has a questioning of faith, I'll admit that, and went in, more into songwriting and music. As a result, ended up in the military, fighting over in Afghanistan, and coming back from Afghanistan, I think had promised to delve more into the singing and songwriting. And I have left out this whole time the painting, the art that you see around you, the paintings on the wall, are actually all Abe's from art over here. Got a variety, like my wife pointed out that she thinks she remembers that one from an opening about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, some of these, yeah, some of these are a little older. Yeah.
I love it. We've got a history all the way up to now.
Yeah, some of them was painted last week.
Yeah, I love it. So, hey, take time. I want everyone to listen and absorb. But sometimes when I'm listening to the speaker, I'm walking around looking at the art at the same time. You can feel free to do that. You don't have to stay in your seats here. But be quiet and be respectful of the speaker. With that, I'd like to introduce Abe Partridge.
Thank you all for having me here. This is, I recall last evening as I was playing right here that this was the second time that I've actually been in a Unitarian. Is this Unitarian?
We are.
I apologize
For the sake of his story, we're Unitarian. Yes.
Okay. Anyway, I was playing a tour over in the United Kingdom back in 2019, and I was in this town called Oxford, where they got all these colleges and universities.
Yeah.
And we played at a Unitarian church, and usually I play places, and I'm really like impressed and like honored when I get to play like where some of my heroes have played. I've played some shows, and it's like, oh, Towns Van Zandt played here or whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Well, when I went over there to that Unitarian church, Gandhi had spoken there. I was like, well, this sets the bar a little bit higher. I doubt that I'll ever pass that bar. But anyway, thank y'all for having me here with you guys today. It's been lovely. Ted asked me what I want to speak about, and I just wing it most of the time as a songwriter, but on this one, I was like, well, you know, I'll talk about building relationships with others. And so over the last 2.5 years, well, the background on me specifically, I left Mobile when I was 18, and I didn't go to a couple Bible colleges. I went to 4 of them. On account that they kept threatening to kick me out, so I'd leave before they could. And then I ended up buying in, and by the 4th one they allowed me to graduate, and I was an independent fundamental Baptist preacher, and I got called to the church when I was 25 years old in Middlesboro, Kentucky, and moved up there. And for maybe the 5 or 6 years prior to that experience, I was in an echo chamber. I had through my journey with the church there, I had gradually removed people from my life that were not that did not believe exactly like I did, and as a result, I became convinced of a lot of things that I'm no longer convinced of. And then whenever I moved up there to pastor that church in Kentucky, outside of that echo chamber, things gradually started to crumble. And then as the crumbling began, I began finding less of myself in the role that I was in. And so it became a very intense and internal struggle, because I knew that if I were to leave, it was going to be the collapse of so many relationships that I valued, and my position and my education would be all for naught. And so when I was going around Middlesboro, Kentucky, trying to find peace about leaving, and I ran into this guy, and his name was Jamie Coots. And I was giving him a pamphlet, a gospel pamphlet. And I said, "My name's Abe Partridge. I'd like to welcome you to our church." And he said, "Well, I'm Jamie Coots. I pastor the biggest snake handling church in Kentucky." And I said, "What?" He told me about his church. And at that time in my life, I did not care to talk about other people's religious perspectives. I only really was concerned about propagating mine. And we had a long conversation, and I think he could tell that I was in a bad way. And he offered me his phone number and said, "Call him if I needed help." And he was very gracious to me. But I could not fathom why he believed and practiced the things that he believed and practiced. And so I continued in my crumbling, and to the point where I gave my resignation to the church, and I loaded up my wife and 2 children, and we moved back home to Mobile. And I moved into my mom's house with no plans other than the fact that I just could not do that anymore. And it was a reset. And I got a job making about $8 an hour working for this I was the mail boy for this insurance place. And I was like, well, this ain't gonna feed a family. And so I joined the United States military, and about 2012 I turned on the television. National Geographic had a special on, a series on, called Snake Salvation, and there was that guy Jamie Coots. And I was like, Kathy, it was my wife, Kathy. I said, Kathy, come look at this. There's that guy I was telling you about. And she was like, oh my God, that's him. And I was like, yeah, he's on TV. Well, then I went to the desert in 2013, and I returned in 2014, and I was on some medical orders after having come back because I obtained an inner ear injury when I was there, which if you were here last night, you heard the story, because it happens to be screaming as we speak. It started up the other night, but I have this problem in my right ear. But anyway, I was going through all this military stuff and going to see these doctors, and they were trying to fix my ear. And one day while on those orders, I looked up and there was a news flash across the TV, and it was serpent handling preacher dies of a snake bite, and there was a picture of Jamie Coots. And I remember thinking, I remember that it hurt me in a way because because there were so many years removed now from our interaction in 2007, 2006, 2007 or so. Now it was 2014. And at the time, I looked at him as a nice guy, but crazy. And then over the years, I've become less concerned about judging other people's ideas. And I was like, I hurt for the guy because he was a family man, and that was father of his children now, and a wife without a husband, a widow. And so then I started playing music in 2000. When I got back from the desert, I started playing my songs, and some people started liking my songs, and I started playing them publicly. And then gradually I got more and more people into what I was doing, and to the point where I was doing it a lot. And then I made some records, and I convinced this one record label that they should invest in me, and they did. And the publicist came to my house. I had been painting since I was losing my mind in Kentucky. And the publicist helped me set up my first art show in 2018. And then by March of 2019, I was quitting my full-time employment and feeding my wife and kids based on art and playing shows. And when I went down the West Coast on my first big tour after I quit my job, I went down the West Coast with this guy named Jerry Joseph, who wrote all these great songs for Widespread Panic. And as we're going down, he took this other songwriter named Will Stewart. It was me, Jerry Joseph, and Will Stewart from Birmingham. And Will Stewart had a song, and it mentioned copperheads and the Holy Ghost in it. And it was a beautiful song, but I was like, what is this about? I said, Will, what is your song about? He said, it's about this book I read called Salvation on Sand Mountain. I read so I bought the book. And then came 2020. And all the things that it brought, and my career collapsed. And the way that I was supporting my family became impossible for me to do it anymore, because I was primarily supporting my family through playing shows. And so I was like, well, I'm going to read now. It's hard to read on the road. I love to read when I'm at home. It's really hard for me to read on the road. But I was like, I'm going to read. And so the first book I bought off the shelf was Salvation on Sand Mountain, thanks to Will Stewart. And I read it, and there was Jamie Coots in that book. And it started gnawing at me. And so I went on Amazon.com, and I purchased every book that one could purchase on the subject of serpent handling. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out. And then by June of 2020, I decided that I had to go find that church in Middlesboro. And I did. And I went to the church and I met Jamie's family is still there. And they were there and I went to the service and I was really there just to kind of see it. And, but I heard the songs. They play rock and roll music. I don't know if you know this or not, but they play like really extremely fervent Chuck Berry, Carl Perkins, rock and roll music. And also it's like their lyrical content is obviously different. So I became enthralled with their songs, and I determined that I was going to spend the pandemic recording music in serpent in churches. It seemed like a good idea. And I bought some recorders, and I taught myself how to use them, and I started doing that. Then a buddy of mine named Farrell Gibbs, he was working for the Houston Chronicle, and in October of 2020 he called me, and I was in West Virginia. He said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm not going to tell you unless you got a long time to talk." And he was like, "I want to make a podcast about it." I said, "Okay, go ahead, man." And he made a podcast called Alabama Astronaut, and it was put out back in September. And it's been the most successful thing that I ever released into the world. It's been in the top 10 numerous times, but it falls back out, and it goes back in and falls back out. It does this, but it's doing really well. I'm really proud of it. But what happened to me in this whole process of going to these churches, during the pandemic, I was going 3 weeks a month. And I was going to between 12 and 20 services a month in different churches. And what happened was I began to see the people for more than what they believed, and more from just what they practiced. And I began to see them as a more total view of who they were. They wasn't just that. They were human beings like me. They had families. They had jobs. They had the same kind of desires that I had. And from that, I made a lot of relationships. We built relationships on that have, some of the most important relationships that I now have in my life are with serpent handlers. And it's been good for me. I don't handle serpents, and I don't agree with everything that they believe, but they have a certain sincerity that I've never witnessed with anybody and most anyone else, and that strikes a certain chord with me. Then I'll getting close to the 20-minute mark here, so I'll leave you with this story. But in January of 2020, I was in my van, and Farrell Gibbs came from all the way from Texas with me. And I had agreed to record some music with Jamie Coots' son, his name is Cody. In addition to being a fourth-generation serpent-handling preacher, Cody is also a fourth-generation serpent-handling songwriter. And so I was going to record some songs with him. And the church that we were going to go to that night, it was flooding, and so they canceled the service. Well, Cody called and said, "I'm going to another church, but I'm just going to tell you. The preacher is not too keen on folks coming in from outside." And I was like, well, okay, I mean, what are they going to do? And so I went in. This is January. I'd only been around for a little while. I'd only been going for a few months. And I sat in the very back, and the preacher came up to me after about an hour into the service and tied my hands up with a guitar strap. And then he tied a lead rope to that and started dragging me toward the front where there was a glass of poison and people handling torches. And I said, no, I'm not doing this. And I pulled back, and it was one of the scariest moments of my whole life. But then fast forward, that was in January of 2021. In October of 2021, that preacher drove from his home in East Kentucky to Nashville, Tennessee, and played banjo behind me at the Bluebird Cafe. And that didn't happen immediately. But if two parties are willing to put aside their disagreements and find things, what I'm saying is the human beings are mostly the same. We differ in a few things, but we're mostly the same. And you can find ways to build bridges with people that you never would have expected you could do so if you're interested in doing such things. And somewhere around October, I was up there at church, at that very church where the preacher initially tried to drag me to the front, which I found out what it was is they've had bad experiences with journalists in the past. Journalists who have ridiculed them and mocked them and hillbilly-fied them and things like that. And they were distrusting of people that looked like me with this hair. This is not the way the holiness people wear their hair. And, so pretty immediately when I walk in, it's like, that guy's he's not the same, you know. But they were distrustful of me, and I think they were trying to make me leave. The fact that I didn't leave and I kept coming, and we kept talking, and we attempted to understand each other. Now we have this beautiful friendship, and I'm making this document of serpent handling music that's going to blow your socks off. You don't have to be a serpent handler to like it. It's going to be awesome. And matter of fact, we've had atheists write us, because we've already put out that first thing that the Coots, they're like, I never thought I would say this, but this is my favorite gospel record. You know? My favorite record is a gospel record. It's like, well, cool. But anyway, somewhere along that time, Cody, who is Jamie's son, he walked up, and under the Bible stand at the church, there was this guitar strap was there. And he walked over to me, and he gave it to me. And this was Jamie Coots's guitar strap. And it was made for him in 1999 from this church, a snake that a timber rattler that they had handled. And it had died, and they made a strap out of it. And then Jamie died in 2014, and Cody had it. And he gave it to me, and it was one of the most meaningful, blessed it wasn't a transaction. I gave him nothing in return other than my friendship. But it was a token of exactly what I'm talking about. And now I've played with this guitar strap all over the country. And every time I look at it, I remember Terry. I'm sorry about that. I was supposed to play a song. I told y'all I just winged it, right? You know, I was a Baptist preacher, so I can talk all the time. I can talk more than I hear. I'm gonna sing y'all a brand new song, okay?
Yeah.
That means that I might mess it up. It also means I don't know where I play it yet. We'll try it right here. You gotta look your brother right in the eye. Don't be afraid to let yourself cry. 'Cause you know that we're all fighting to find meaning in this life. We all got a vulnerable side. You gotta look your brother right in the eye. You gotta learn to face the one that's in the mirror. 'Cause we sure can afford to turn our backs in fear. And you know the biggest devil's the one that's in between your ears. And that ain't nothing that we wanna hear. We gotta learn to face the one that's in the mirror. 'Cause I love you, but sometimes I just don't know how to say it. I mean, I got the words, but I ain't sure where to place them. And I never figured out a way to fake it. So it's okay if you ain't got the answers. 'Cause there's more to find in truth than simply being clever. And we're all so disillusioned underneath these crooked banners. So try to remember your manners. And it's okay if you ain't got the answers. And my friend, we must hear our brother's voice. 'Cause if we cannot listen, all our talking ain't but noise. And I know that it might hurt, but we ain't got no other choice. And maybe that's the kind of pain that love employs. My friend, we must hear our brother's voice. 'Cause I love you, but sometimes I just don't know how to say it. I mean, I got the words, but I ain't sure where to place them. It's a bad habit, I gotta figure out a way to break it. You gotta look your brother right in the eye. Thank you.
Thank you, Abe Partridge. Joining us here this weekend, last night and today in so many ways. Excuse me.
And let's see if this is a good key. Maybe that's it. Is that how does that feel for people? Inch by inch. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warn them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Pulling weeds and picking stones, we are made of dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, 'cause the time is close at hand. Grain by grain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's chain. To my body and my brain, to the music from the land. And your roads straight and long, temper them with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her love and care. Old crow watching hungrily from us perch on yonder tree. In my garden I'm as free as the bird up there. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warn them from below till the rain comes tumbling down.
Thank you very much, Bill and Craig. Thank you, Abe, for joining us. And I want to close with some words that I just changed my mind about what to say. A favorite song of mine by Abe. What's that? Oh, okay. You did the article online, the New York article. You want to sing? Okay. You can get the New Yorker article online. But anyway, closing quote by one of Abe's songs. It's a love song about that not everything is so black and white. Our love is not defined as black and white. It's look up his song Colors if you want to hear a better version of this. Colors, and I also like this because we used to have an art event here, an annual art event at First E for community artists. It was called Outside the Lines. And so they did that. Colors are all that matter when you're already outside the lines. What we thought was just scribbles have become a pretty picture. And you skip to the end of that verse, it didn't happen like we planned it, and folks won't understand it, but our love ain't black and white. Thank you for joining us today.